There's an unmistakable buzz in the air at Hollis Hall, the kind of energy that builds when a coaching decision sets the tone for the rest of the summer. That's exactly what happened today when Bears offensive coordinator Ben Johnson confirmed that the starting lineup will take the field this Sunday against the Buffalo Bills in the team's second preseason matchup. For Bears fans, this is more than just a preseason scheduling note. It's the first glimpse of how the franchise's long-term offensive centerpiece, quarterback Caleb Williams, looks under real game conditions against an NFL defense that doesn't wear navy and orange. After sitting out the first preseason contest, Williams will finally have the opportunity to translate weeks of practice reps into live action. Ben Johnson's reasoning is clear. While controlled practice environments are valuable, nothing substitutes for real game speed, defensive unpredictability, and the pressure of a live scoreboard. In his words, the starters need to start shaking off the rust and fully immerse themselves in the new offensive system. It's about more than just completing passes or moving the chains. It's about timing, chemistry, and the unspoken rhythm that can only be built in competition. Why the Buffalo game matters. The Bills, even in preseason, bring enough defensive variety to test a developing offense. For Williams, it will mean navigating disguised coverages, blitz packages, and fast-moving linebackers. For the offensive line, it will mean holding up against a front seven known for collapsing pockets quickly. And for the receiving core, it's a chance to refine timing on routes under real pressure. But perhaps most importantly, it's a chance for Ben Johnson to evaluate how the unit responds to adversity in real time. If the first series sputters, can they rebound? If a play breaks down, can Williams improvise effectively without forcing throws? These are the kind of intangible questions that preseason snaps can help answer. Injury updates. Two key defensive backs in focus while the starting lineup news dominated headlines. Johnson also delivered updates on the health of two defensive anchors, Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon. Jalen Johnson, the veteran corner, is reportedly right on schedule in his rehab and should be ready for the Week 1 Monday Night Football showdown against the Minnesota Vikings. That's especially significant considering Johnson will likely face Justin Jefferson, one of the NFL's most dominant receivers. A healthy Jalen Johnson means the Bears can play more aggressive coverage without overcommitting safety help. Kyler Gordon, his situation remains more fluid, categorized as week to week. The hope is to have him back before training camp ends, but the staff is prioritizing long-term health over rushing him into preseason action. Gordon's versatility as a nickel and boundary corner makes his return critical for defending complex passing attacks. The timing couldn't be more important. Minnesota's roster has been impacted by both injuries and suspensions this offseason, but in the NFL, those breaks can disappear overnight. The Bears need their secondary fully loaded for the kind of aerial challenges the NFC North will throw at them. The bigger picture Johnson's announcement wasn't just a roster note, it was a message to the locker room. By committing to putting his best players on the field now, he's signaling that this team isn't easing into 2025. They're aiming to be battle-tested before Week 1 even kicks off. The decision also aligns with a broader theme emerging from camp: competition at every level. Whether you're a rookie, a returning starter, or a Pro Bowl veteran, nothing is being handed out for free. That mindset will become even clearer as we dig into the position battles and coaching demands shaping the Bears roster. Dan Roushar standards for the offensive line. When offensive line coach Dan Roushar speaks, his players listen, and lately, his words have been equal parts praise and challenge. He noted that left tackle Braxton Jones displayed textbook technique and balance during Friday's drills, only to slip back into old habits 2 days later. For Roushar, that's unacceptable. His message to Jones was blunt: mistakes like that impact the entire team. In other words, there's no room for inconsistency when you're protecting the franchise quarterback's blind side. Right tackle Darnell Wright faced similar feedback. Roushar praised his high ceiling, admitting there are moments when Wright's performance is exciting to watch. But too often, Those moments are separated by lapses that stall drives or allow unnecessary pressure. The expectation is clear: consistency on every rep, every day. The four-man battle at left tackle, what began as a two-player competition at left tackle, has evolved into something closer to an open brawl. Braxton Jones, an East Trapilo rookie from Boston College, Theo Benedict, second-year player from Canada, and even Wright in certain emergency looks are all factoring into practice rotations. The latest wrinkle came when Trapilo, who's been developing as a left tackle in the NFL, began taking right tackle reps to increase versatility. Meanwhile, Benedict has been mixing with both the first and second units at left tackle, forcing coaches to reevaluate depth charts daily. For Williams and the offense, stability at this position will be non-negotiable. If the competition pushes everyone to a higher standard, the offense will benefit. But prolonged uncertainty could delay offensive cohesion heading into Week 1. Bears Nation, before we dive into red zone drills and the emerging offensive chemistry, a quick reminder. If you live and breathe Chicago Bears football, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell right now. This way you'll always be the first to get roster updates, injury reports, and in-depth game breakdowns. Let's keep our fan base the most informed in the league. Now, back to the field. Bieniemy's creative offensive designs, if there's one consistent theme from camp, it's that Eric Bieniemy isn't afraid to experiment. His use of DJ Moore in unconventional roles, lining up in the backfield, motioning across formations, and even taking direct handoffs is a sign of just how flexible this offense can be. Moore has embraced the challenge, showing quick adaptation to new responsibilities. Bieniemy calls him a dangerous weapon who applies feedback instantly, making him a nightmare for opposing defenses trying to key on him. Running back Kyle Monangai also continues to prove that stopwatch speed isn't the only speed that matters. Bieniemy dismissed concerns about his 40-yard dash time, pointing instead to his vision, acceleration through gaps, and ability to grind out 4 or more yards per carry, the kind of efficiency that keeps drives alive. Wide receivers locked in. Wide receivers coach Antwaan Randle is pushing his group with a playoff mindset. For DJ Moore, that means developing habits that can withstand January football, something he hasn't experienced consistently in his career. Rookie Luther Burden is being encouraged to stop overthinking and let his athleticism take over, a common hurdle for first-year receivers adjusting to NFL pace. The overall tone in the receivers' room is one of focus and determination. They're not just learning plays, they're preparing to execute them in the highest pressure situations. Caleb Williams, progress through adversity. The national media loves a quarterback storyline, and Williams is providing one, not because he's struggling, but because he's showing growth under pressure. In one red zone drill, Williams threw a well-placed ball to Odunze that was intercepted after tight coverage. Instead of folding, he responded with a string of completions, including a touchdown to Odunze and a perfectly timed strike to Luther Burden. It's exactly the kind of mental resilience the Bears want to see from their franchise quarterback. Johnson has said they've intentionally made camp very challenging for Williams, knowing that real progress comes from being tested. Drops in details. The offense's biggest frustration today wasn't the pass rush, it was drops. Monangai, Moore, and others let catchable balls hit the turf. For Johnson, this will be a teaching point in film study. Execution in the red zone is about precision, and unforced errors like drops can undo an entire drive's worth of good work. Defense brings relentless heat. Defensive coordinator Dennis Allen promised an aggressive approach, and the unit delivered. Grady Jarrett, Andrew Billings, Gervin Dexter SR, Austin Booker, Dio Odunze, and Montez Sweat formed a rotation that stuffed the run and collapsed the pocket. Allen's philosophy is simple: make practice harder than games. If the offense can find success against this kind of defensive pressure, they'll be better prepared for the regular season. Injury updates and special teams discipline. The Bears saw positive news with Terrell Smith returning from a groin injury and special teams ace Nick Mulud back in uniform. Gervin Dexter SR, after an elbow scare, was back on the field with protective wrapping. Special teams coordinator Richard Hightower wasn't letting anyone coast. His unit stayed on the field for extended drills, with vocal instruction that left no room for half-speed effort. Kicker Cairo Santos, after hitting a 57-yarder last week, doinked one off the upright from 35 yards in practice, a reminder that consistency matters for every player, regardless of position. The final takeaway as camp pushes deeper into August. The identity of the 2025 Chicago Bears is becoming clear, a team that demands more from itself every single day. Starters are locked in for Buffalo, injuries are trending toward resolution, and the competition in key position groups is raising the bar for everyone on the roster. If this level of intensity carries into the regular season, Bears fans might be in for one of the most competitive campaigns in recent memory.